next President of the United States, Congressman Ron Paul.
Our country has given to us conditions overseas that are unsustainable. They're unsustainable financially, they're unsustainable financially as well as morally and constitutionally, and we have no right, no matter what the motivations are, good or bad, for us to impose our will on other people around the world, because it always backfires on us. So my solution for Iraq is not complicated. I had a speech not too long ago on the House floor, and I tried to simplify it. And I said, we just marched in, we can just march out. You know, in the year 2000, the Republican Party won the presidency on a foreign policy that said we should not be involved in nation building, we should not police the world, and we should have a humble foreign policy. Makes a lot of sense. But unfortunately, the American people were deceived. We do not have a humble foreign policy, and we do not have the authority to do what we're doing. So the sooner we wake up and realize not only do we need to get out of Iraq, we need to stop intimidating the whole Middle East and stop preparing for the next war in Iran.
That's right.
The one thing we have to do is we have to address foreign policy as a nation, because it allows us the practical political opportunity to have a plan to get us out of this mess. Because as true constitutionalists, there's many welfare programs that we really can't endorse. But we have conditioned generation after generation to be dependent on the government. So the last thing we need to do is say, well, the first thing we're going to do is cut Medicare. We don't need to do that, and we don't need to close down Social Security. But we could develop a transitional program by saying, let the young people get out. If they don't want to join the Social Security system, they don't have to. The immediate reaction to that is, well, where are we going to get the money? How are we going to take care of the elderly? How are we going to take care of the medical needs of the people who are so dependent? Well, there is a way. Save it from fighting these senseless wars. We literally could save $500 billion very easily. If you could take half of that and put it against the deficit, and you'd have more than enough to tide people over and work a transitional program in order to get to a more sensible government and programs that we need. You know, over the years, and one of the strongest motivations I had in the early 70s to enter politics had to do with the economy and sound money. This is the reason that I look to the Constitution, and lo and behold, we're in this inflationary mess and all this debt because we did not follow the law. And the law says only gold and silver should be legal tender. And guess what? Guess what? There is no authority in the Constitution for a central bank, so we need to get rid of the Federal Reserve. But you know, there's the moral reasons, there's the economic reason, because the inflationary system of money we have today is the source of the bubbles and sources of the corrections. There are NASDAQ bubbles and housing bubbles and dollar bubbles, and there's always collapse of these bubbles, and I think we're on the verge of a gigantic crash of a bubble, which is the dollar bubble. Everybody's inflation rate is not the same. So the average person that has to spend, their money on survival, they spend money on things like fuel, and food, but they exclude that when they talk about the inflationary rate in the nation, claiming there's no significant inflation. They claim it's at 2%. So can we trust the government to tell us the truth about inflation? No way. This is the reason that we could start off with an early proposal in the next administration, that being ours. We should... We could start by repealing the Patriot Act. We could get rid of the Military Commissions Act. We could restore the principle of habeas corpus. We could suspend all efforts for the national ID card. And we could suspend all warrantless searches on the American people. The freedom movement should say that we are going to protect life, we're going to protect liberty. Government doesn't give us our liberty, it comes from our Creator, it comes to us in a natural way. And so therefore government should be very limited to that job. But if we have if we have life and liberty, and it's your life, should it not be true that fruits of your labor belong to you? But in order to do that, to make sure that you deserve the fruits of your labor, we have to reject the notion of the personal income tax. But there's another area that assumes that government owns our life, and it's a special category of people, and yet that category is growing by leaps and bounds. We do not have a draft today, but we have a selective service. That means the 18-year-old signs up, and it is assumed that women wouldn't be, but quite frankly, in this age, if the draft is resumed, I imagine that young women are going to be drafted, young men, but they might need so many, they might go up to 20, 30, or 40 years of age in order to draft. So this idea that the government owns a segment of the people and can mandate that they go overseas and fight is something that we as freedom-loving people have to reject in its entirety. But it's so encouraging when I have young people come to my office now in many numbers, and it's the young people, the teenagers that are coming and bringing their parents. And I ask them, well, how did you people get interested? And they say, oh, it's my 13-year-old, my 17-year-old. They told me about you, and we looked at your web stuff, and then they came. Let me finish by saying, let us not be discouraged. We do still have opportunities in this country. We still are a very prosperous country. We still do have an ability to communicate. We are seriously threatened the undermining of our civil liberties and our financial situation. But quite frankly, we can still speak out and we can still participate in the electoral process. And as long as we can do this, we should do it in a peaceful manner, and we should work hard and make sure this message get out, because I am convinced of one thing. I am convinced that the message of liberty is the answer. It works. It works economically. It works by protecting the rights of the individual, and it's the proper way to operate with the people around the world. They claim that our philosophy is isolationist. Well, quite frankly, I think it's the opposite. I mean, if you're isolationist, you don't want to talk to people, you don't want to trade with people. But where are we today? Have we not isolated ourselves from the world? We have more enemies, and we have less friends than ever before. So I would say it's our method that will make us a better member of the world community, where we can benefit from this, and we can set the example that we should be setting, and all we have to do is believe in liberty and work hard for it. Thank you very much.